which isn't so complex, is necessary, right? So Dr. Manhattan is the definition of a terribly written character because of lack of livelihood in him. His plot of wanting to know a lot, trying to fix everything because of his stupid watch that didn't want to be fixed, because time was broken, because of his paradox intervention with the multiverse. Actually, if you are a moron, you won't understand the comic at all. Honestly, I won't explain such. I will just mention his feats and elaborate on them and call it a day. Now, Manhattan basically follows the Schrodinger's cat theory, and this is brought to the center story of Doomsday Clock. So pay attention vividly. He says that boxes are mysteries containing universes. As long as the box is closed, then anything could be possible, and anything could be within said box. And the other observer of such box affects the extreme possibilities of such coming forth via superposition of what could be and cannot be. And in a quantum universe, there are no mistakes, but rather possibilities and probabilities folded into existence by perception, simply because if one possible outcome is a mistake, then there isn't a likelihood of non-existing, meaning the unknown is rather known, than making the observer articulate on the chances of anything at all, making it a non-quantum and finite reality. Manhattan's future variants can feel him in the future thinking these exact thoughts from the past and vice versa. He also feels the past, and his consciousness just slides up and down the time stream. And he is so powerful that he broke his body into an infinite of quantum possibilities, and with each choice creating another possibility, which is another him in the final analysis, and all this creates infinite universes. Manhattan, questioning the event of what happened to him and what he is, plays a very serious role in his power because he is the quantum effect, and since he doesn't know what's in the box, then he creates too many possibilities and probabilities. He can move between the future and the moment of his creation, and like before, where his being is in every point in time. And as I said earlier, he broke time because of his paradox. Basically, Dr. Manhattan has been affecting the DC timeline way before he was ever introduced, as his being and his beings feels deja vu between his creation of both far past and present, which explains why even in the comics, right, the years which he goes back to, sometimes a single page can portray two timelines, and people get confused about what Manhattan is doing and will do, or what the comic as a whole is talking about, right? As Manhattan goes back to moments before he's reborn or remake by 1:15 p.m., he's confused about why he leaves the building after such event that remakes him, and he is certain that mistakes aren't made but possibilities exist because of what is in the box, and the box being that the one constant thing in all these possibilities and probabilities is that he doesn't leave the room. And if the true moment of his recreation is being toyed with, then him being the quantum effect is a false narrative, meaning there's something greater than his view of perception of time across the time stream. But he fails to understand that Schrodinger's cat proposes a third option, aside the cat living or dying within the box. If the box is never open, then you can't observe anything, and it births the so-called probabilities and possibilities, which gives birth to infinite universes of what could be happening when the box opens. Doesn't open, and when the box opens, doesn't open, and finally observes what can't be observed, and everything falls down to rather something deductively would be classified as a mistake of a non-credible action leading to one singular reality which breaks time through a heavy paradox of all things existing and not existing, but at the same time existing and non-existing simultaneously, which is why Manhattan exists, as he didn't leave the room. He also left the room at the same point in time without changing, but at the end of the day he still left the room by not leaving it. He carries the quantum particles, but is still Osterman. Just like I explained earlier, and I said Manhattan didn't know. Even while I read this comic years ago, it was so straightforward to me that I knew he didn't know he was the quantum observer. I am not a if not, all these paradoxes won't happen, and he focused too much on his timeline. I have given the explanation of all these already, and you can thank me later for making it easier. Though this is powerful because every time this man basically speaks, then a new reality is born, and he is the most powerful being in the known universe. That term needs context. I wanted to do it later, but let me just do it. So when you say, oh, maybe later, because actually if you just keep listening, you understand. He says he is limitless, which is true, and can force himself to be limited to one reality so that other realities won't die. Manhattan, lacking the previous understanding he had, but with the powers to put space-time and the universe back together as a single unit, as it was, makes him afraid that he will make a mistake, messing up everything like he did. And he checks the time stream, but all seems fine but one thing. When Manhattan seems to teleport, my dude is just moving the universe to him rather than moving himself. Manhattan creates universes with casual acts. He destroyed Earth multiple times over, and this is extremely impressive. And as he keeps just one reality, he stretches his mind to the future and sees death. This dude goes to a whole new galaxy, says the universe is just perception, creates new life in which he creates with the potential of it being a box that can birth infinite universes. Manhattan was able to absorb an entire Green Lantern Corps, which is impressive, and for those who don't know, lanterns use that thing as a temporary recharge while away in battle for a long time, and can contain infinite energy to serve many lanterns. After being summoned, dude just casually moved an entire universe to where they were. This is another level of reality warping, and by the way, Kage and Naruto does the same thing. Aside the very well-known feat of him thinking the enemies of the Justice League the Justice League is a joke, which includes Darkseid, Doomsday, and whatnot, him incapacitating them, and the fact all the very powerful heroes at this time, which can be scaled from multiversal to higher multiversal, all casually lose to him with no issues at all, dissolving the Green Lantern's ring and calling magic within creation to be the scraps of creation. And these statements could imply one actuality and one contradiction. Basically everything mentioned before, with him creating infinite worlds and bringing it all to one reality, but living a paradox of his making. It is basically his existence versus Superman's existence, but how do they really collide? This goes to show how powerful Superman can really get. I can't place every scan on the screen, but Manhattan created the metaverse, which he simultaneously became responsible for DC Comics' existence, because he basically has origin manipulation on a very terrifying scale, as he was both the cat in the box and not in the box, meaning he passively rewrote his origins to fit the creation of the first and most powerful story in DC Comics, a story of the most hopeful in one quantum universe, in which challenges his existence of creating everything in the metaverse, which basically is connected with the world orrery. But that's where Manhattan gets it wrong even further. He has no control of the orrery, but definitely could rewrite several origins, even the death of Clark's parents, but could never alter the Superman story to prevail. He literally started having issues since the arrival of Clark, and that's why when he understood everything and placed things in order, there was an anomaly to him which he couldn't understand, and looking into the future, he sees pure black. And so he went to find out for himself. He was basically living an event bound to happen in his head, triggering the necessity of him going there, which is still part of the necessary action for him to take for such to even occur. Superman doesn't kill him, and he destroys the entire metaverse, including Superman, but Superman's hope is an innate hope that always fights back. Superman's existence became the first thing to restart everything again. Dr. Manhattan is actually so overpowered that his existence rivals the hope of Superman. He is a lot stronger than any villain within creation. I mean, during the death metal events, his power is what gave the Darkest Knight his final amp, and Perpetual called it a disturbance in creation. His power is referenced to as the crisis energy, which is stronger than Superboy Prime and everyone else. That's the same power Wally used to gain full control of the Mobius chair in Flash Forward, and could view, I have a video on that by the way, on Mobius chair Wally West, you can check it out. I go over the Flash Forward storyline, and could view the entire multiverse at once. His power is able to easily kill the Reverse Flash, who embodies the negative speed force and ranges from outer to high ultraverse, though the negative speed force is still part of the main speed force, but just like a branch in the speed force that counteracts with that of the Flash. Before Barry became the Flash, and as we know how Manhattan existed everywhere and Revolt origins, after things had been reset, the crisis takes place and all that. Manhattan basically existed everywhere before creation, during creation, and after creation. Now Dr. Manhattan takes a normal form in which time had gotten larger, but I don't know how it seems like the same thing right from time, except he is talking about before creation, or when there was one universe. He could sense the multiversal energy flow coming from Barry while in the fight. He had been sent into a wasteland of the forgotten beyond the multiverse, which sounds like the comic book limbo. His body and mind was altered by the multiverse, in which the Flash's actions affected his connection to space and time, and the Flash having power over the Speed Force, keeping creation moving. The Speed Force isn't magic nor science. It is described as something a lot more horrific before the Flash history existed. In short, Manhattan was very much also acting like a Speed Force for creation, or like a Flash that doesn't run, as he was directly altering the time stream, which is a direct link to the Speed Force. But Barry embodying the Speed Force makes Manhattan a prisoner to his own passive abilities. That's stronger than the story of Superman, if I must say. Also, Manhattan destroying Earth at that time is very impressive, to be honest. It still holds enough magic power to not let such be destroyed, the same way no crisis event has ever done before. Also, calling magic scraps of creation could mean an actuality, in the sense that he's referring to creation beyond the source world compared to what they are using. Then it isn't impressive, but likely not the case. It being a contradiction, because almost everything everything is magic in DC, even before he started existing, before the time stream and all. Magic has been there. That statement is false. Manhattan can change the nitrogen content of the topsoil of a land. He can create oxygen in space. He can couple himself back from nothing, starting from molecules to full body. He can simply command things to happen, like sending people away from him, and has crazy reality manipulation. Well, this is a very detailed but simple video of Manhattan. If you found this video informative, you actually liked it, then like, share, comment, subscribe, and see you next time. Peace.